Aloha friends, it's Robert Stellick. Welcome to another episode of the Blue Planet Show, where I interview wingfoil athletes, thought leaders, and designers right here in Honolulu in my home office. And in today's show, I'm interviewing Sam Loader, the owner of PPC Foiling, based in Auckland, New Zealand. We're talking for the second time on the Blue Planet Show. In the first interview, we went more into his background, his business, and foiling scene in New Zealand. This time we go over what's new over the last year and all the equipment he's coming out with. We talk about the Soar boards, his new wings, the foil he has planned. So stay tuned. You can watch it right here on YouTube with all the good visual content, or you can just listen to it audio only as a podcast. Just search for the Blue Planet Show in your favorite podcast app. Okay, so without further ado, here is Sam Loader. All right, Sam, welcome to the Blue Planet Show. Back to the Blue Planet Show for the second time. How's everything going for you?
Cheers, Rob. Thanks for having me back. It's been a while since the last show. It seems like years actually. A lot's happened. No, it's been going really well. It's been going really, really well. Been extremely busy. I've never been this busy in my life, but at the end of the day, at least I'm designing foils, something that we love, right? Cool. And so yeah, it's just been pretty full on since so much has happened since the last interview that then it's kind of crazy. So hence why the catch up.
Yeah, so it's great to catch up again. And for anyone listening, if you haven't watched the first show, if you're interested in Sam's background and so on, just watch that one. We're going to talk more about your business, your equipment, just what we learned over the last year, what's changed, what's coming up in the future, and so on. That's kind of what I wanted to discuss with you mostly. And I have a few questions also from Dan and a few other guys in New Zealand. So I try to get to those as well, and going to try to keep it in within an hour or so if we can, but we'll see.
You called me up on my birthday, so it better be worth it, Rob.
Well, happy birthday! Yeah, so I hope are you taking the day off after this? I know it's morning time for you in Auckland, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want to take the day off, and I want to say I am, but I'm probably not. I'm probably just going to do some emails. Probably going to cover the shop a wee bit. We've got the guys coming in the afternoon. I think Josh is coming in, and but yeah, later on I'll chill out. We'll go out for dinner, stuff like that.
Pretty cold in New Zealand now. Yeah, it's the winter time for you.
Yeah, it's dropped a lot. It's certainly not summer anymore, but there's still breeze, so there's still good conditions for testing. And I mean, by dropped, it's only dropped to about a 3-2 wetsuit, so it's not too bad. Down south has got some snow, so we've got to go down there a little later, wax the skis up, maybe take a wing to the mountain. Don't know. I always wanted to do that. So yeah.
So I'm sure you have a lot of people coming into your shop asking for that are beginners just getting into it. So I just kind of wanted to always start the show with some tips for newbies, people getting into the sport. Beginners, what do you tell people? What are some tips for people getting into the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it's been since it started, but I mean, I think right now, because there's so much information out there, like when someone walks in the store, my game plan is to try and simplify the whole process. So it's kind of overwhelming when you look around. You can see foils, boards, wings, and people kind of just go, whoa, where do I start? But we've kind of written down the board, the wing, really simple. We've actually got some super high volume boards, like 130s and stuff. We're doing a bit of a trade-in deal at the moment. So they can buy a bigger board and then they can progress on that for around 6 months. And then we can switch them out to a board that they're going to, have for a longer period of time. And then we'll recirculate those bigger boards. It's kind of maybe a bit of a stuff up on my part by having too many big boards in production. So we're just kind of making the opportunity it's just in favor of the New Zealand customer, I guess, to make their learning experience a little quicker. And then, yeah, I mean, I think when you get the board, the wing, we've got 3-4 brands in the shop, and then we sort of just, it comes down to a little bit of budget and a little bit of, you know, what the customer wants to kind of spend. So it's yeah. I think
so what volume, like for a beginner, like getting into, do you send them right out on a foil board? Do you tell them to use a windsurf board first with a dagger board, or like what, like, and then for the first board, like what kind of volume do you recommend for beginners usually?
Well, if it's like the one board, I would just say 20 liters above body weight. But I mean, we've got Alan down here at the lake. He's doing lessons, and because we've got these high volume boards like 130s and 140s, they can just jump on those. Even if they're 80 kg, they're going to be super buoyant. They're going to learn the wing probably quicker than being on like a 100-liter board, and then they can just come back and switch that board out. But I mean, I think now it's kind of 20 30 liters maybe above body weight. I mean, I think the whole trend's obviously coming down. Boards are getting smaller. Yeah, I think the 50 to the 80s, the kind of the common sizes. Actually, most of mine went all around the world and didn't come here, so I ran out. But yeah, I definitely think the whole process for the new guy coming into the sport, new girl coming into the sport, it can be simplified a lot. You know, they don't have to have, you know, 3 wings, 3 foils, 2 boards. It can be, you know, down to sort of 1 of each, and then they progress, and then they come in and get some feedback.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to get people on going without spending too much money too. Yeah, otherwise it's
I mean,
the price.
Exactly. The main thing I've just noticed, people just getting too small a board, too small a foil. If you increase those 2 factors, then the learning process is just going to be so much easier and so much more fun. You know.
And then in terms of learning, you said like there's somebody doing lessons on a lake, kind of smooth water. I mean, like any recommendations you have for the location, and then any tips for technique or getting started?
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty lucky with the shop here. We've like 5 minutes down the road, we've got this freshwater lake, and Alan operates down here. It's not tidal, obviously, so he can be there at any time. So flat water, there are no waves, so it's really stable. So it's really easy to kind of get going on each side. And then we've got the bays. We've got Whangaparoa Coast with Manly and all these sort of sheltered bays, which get, you know, in like a west to a, you know, right round to south, sort of southeast. So you've always got that kind of flat water with those winds. So I would just say, just try and stick to the flat water with wind if you don't have access to a boat. And maybe even just grab a wing, jump on a skateboard or something. We're doing these little skateboard, you know, you don't have to go on the water straight away. You can grab a wing, jump on the land, go to a big asphalt, you know, concrete area, and just get the feel for the wing. I reckon that's been kind of a cool thing. A lot of people are actually getting skateboards lately. Mm-hmm. So we're getting these little, what do we got in the shop? These slide carvers, and yeah, they're selling pretty well with the wing, which is pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great way to learn as well. All right. So, and then in terms of like, I know during the pandemic, probably a lot of people got into the sport. I mean, I know here in Hawaii, like there was kind of like booming, and like we never had enough inventory like last couple of years. But then it seems to kind of be transitioning where the demand's kind of slowing down a little bit, or the growth seems to be slowing down. And here in Hawaii anyways, are you experiencing the same thing in New Zealand?
Yeah. I mean, it was funny, like couldn't get enough stock, couldn't get it in time. It was just frustrating at the time. I remember, and then it all arrived at once, and we were just like full, and then it sort of, you know, the demand dropped off at the same time. So it was kind of funny, but we actually had a seriously busy summer last summer. I was actually really surprised. It was extremely busy. We went through everything, and yeah, I mean, at the pandemic, there was a massive demand for gear, but which did drop off. I don't know, it just spiked, but then it dropped off, and now it's sort of flattened out. But I'm still seeing newbies coming into the sport, which is cool.
Yeah. So actually, speaking of the pandemic, so I know in New Zealand you pretty much had no cases for a long time, and you were able to kind of keep COVID out of New Zealand. But it seems like recently it's kind of you guys have COVID too now, right, in New Zealand, and it's like more prevalent, or?
Yeah, I think it's everybody's just getting it really.
Yeah. Have you gotten COVID yet?
Oh yeah, I've had it, and then like we've got like a bit of a social wing group developing, good friends, and one of them each week's dropping down with it. So, but it's kind of that majority is just like a little cold, and then they're better in a week. And
Yeah, and most people are vaccinated by now, so it's not as bad as it was early on. And no more shutdowns. Is that do you still have shutdowns, or like what?
No, nothing like that. Kind of wish I shouldn't say it. Kind of wish we did. Click and collect was working out pretty well, getting on the water. But yeah, no, we haven't had the shutdowns. I think the government just realizes everybody's going to get this, and most will get better and move on, and just get back in the water. After I got it, I just got in the water as soon as I could and made sure I flushed out the salt water. And it's not as bad as we think it is. I think we need to just carry on.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person too. Like I had a kind of a cough for a long time that didn't go away, which is really frustrating. But yeah,
you had it.
Yeah, I had it like in December, and then it took me like several months to get over the coughing. Like it wasn't that bad, the COVID itself, but I had like this tickling in my throat, and I kept having the coughing thing going on.
I'm 2 weeks, so if I cough, just sorry about that, but
it's fine.
No, it's getting better. I honestly feel much better after wing foiling. Honestly, all I can remember, everybody in the world, if you get COVID, take up wing foiling because it'll get you better quicker.
Yeah, this saltwater flushing helps, right?
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about the foiling scene in Auckland and New Zealand. Like what, is there certain spots where everyone goes? Is it pretty busy? And like how big is it compared to other water sports and stuff like that? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's funny because it's I'm noticing like it's just foiling, winging was the thing. Now it's kind of, I'm noticing all these little categories are emerging, and the wing has allowed people to kind of get into tow or pump or wake, or I mean, we're even starting some races here at Auckland, which are kind of getting pretty popular. I mean, downwinding, there's a bunch of guys that I downwind with every now and then. I'm actually loving it. It's kind of, I mean, I don't know, kind of like an endless wave for an hour and a half. So we do it it depends where we do it. So we have a couple of spots that are about 20K maybe. And now we're just thinking, do we need the wing? Maybe we'll just drop the wing and get a paddle and just see if we can do it without the wing. I know my friend Jason, my friend who I met downwinding one day, I was just going past him the other day, and I just threw him my wing, and he grabbed it. I just said, just grab my wing. And then I just keep downwinding, like just without it. And, just to be without a wing and just have your vision open right up is pretty awesome. So no, I think like the wing has definitely helped like all these separate foil categories emerge and grow, and people probably wouldn't have the confidence to do that if the wing hadn't come along. So it's pretty awesome like that, I think.
Yeah, and it seems like the whole downwind equipment improved a lot too. Like you can get boards now that are kind of more narrow, faster, a little bit longer for downwind foiling, on a stand with this paddle. Because when I started, I was just using my regular stand-up surfing board, which was pretty short and wide, but it's really not ideal for catching bumps. And it was definitely hard work to even just get a bump and get up on the foil, And then by the time I got up on foil, I was so exhausted that I couldn't stay on very long usually. But yeah, I think I definitely want to get into that again as well.
Yeah, so I mean Hawaii obviously is you're the leaders of the downwinding side of things. You've got some pretty leading sort of shapers brands there, which are kind of we all look at. But is that kind of emerging over there? Just the downwind side of things, like.
Oh yeah, there's a pretty big crew here that does the downwind foiling. There's a bunch of guys. They call themselves the Voyagers. They go on prone boards. Actually, they catch a breaking wave and then pump out and then do downwinders on prone boards. So but if they fall in, they're not able to get back up again from in the bumps. They need to paddle into the surf zone and then catch another one. But there's also quite a few guys doing it with stand-up paddle boards, and I want to kind of get back. I mean, that's how we got into winging. Derek and my friend Jeff, we were just downwinding on stand-up foil boards, and then when the wings came around, we're like, oh, let's try that, and then it was just so much easier,
Yeah, so. I mean, it's nice having the backup of a wing. And like we were kind of considering like doing the whole deflate thing. We've got these little mini travel pumps that we can take out and do that. But I think the goal now is just, well, I have designed a downwind board, so we'll just start seeing if we can do it on those. I think it's gonna be a bit of a learning curve, but a fun one. It's like the challenge of the wing, and I don't think it's not like we're gonna ditch winging. It's just like another thing that we're going to be doing, in the right condition. So, to me, it's just like, without the wing, these things just probably wouldn't have emerged so fast. I don't know if we would have been thinking like this, but
I mean, if anyone wants to get into downwind foiling, James Casey has a great podcast and goes into a lot of detail on, how to do it and like what, how to get into it and stuff like that, which is, I think, really good. He's very passionate about it.
He's a bit of a freak. He's definitely watching him and learning quite a bit. A lot of us here watching his YouTube videos and stuff like that.
I was just wondering, are you on a mobile computer? Like, can you give us a little tour of your shop? Can you walk around a little bit, or is it like a desktop or something? Oh,
let's do it. Yeah,
give us a little tour of what you got in there.
I blocked it. It's a small shop. I blocked the front door with the wing, so no one should see this. Welcome.
So what are the foils you have? I just saw some Axis. What are those stab foils?
We've got a few. It's sort of scattered everywhere at the moment. We've got some Axis. We've got some SUP. We've got some Lift. And then just a big bunch of boards here. And that's it.
Yeah. Wow. So you basically pretty much everything in your store is foiling or wing foiling related. Like, because I know you started as a stand-up paddle brand, right? But it seems like you pretty much transitioned to all foil stuff, huh?
Yeah, I've got some SUPs just sitting down the back, kind of collecting dust. But hopefully someone comes along and people come in and do that. But I mean, I still think SUP surf, and it's a pretty cool sport. So hopefully it doesn't fade away to nothing. But yeah, it's definitely a wing specific shop. We are the only wing specific shop. The other shops, they do a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. Even wetsuits. We got approached the other day. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to sell wetsuits. It's just gonna complicate things. But we're down the street called Barry's Point Road. It's like kind of the street for toys. There are 3 other sort of surf shops. There's Backdoor, there's another one up the road, there's one next to us, and they all sell that sort of stuff. So I mean, the shop's we're gonna get surfboards, just fun boards in the summer. I think there's a bit of a market sort of it's emerged, so that's going to be kind of cool, just bright fun boards and stuff like that. But we're pretty much full wing specific, and really kind of specialized in it. Just feel like and everybody here wings who works here, so it's pretty cool. We've got some really talented wing foilers that are working here too.
Yeah, right on. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your the Soar boards. Like, we recently kind of got those in stock, and just kind of share it took a long time for us to get them. I think it took like 6 months or something to shipping from Vietnam to Hawaii. It took quite a while, but we do have them in stock now, and I've been testing it. I have the one right behind me here, and And yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the boards and get your have you talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about the whole design thing, and yeah, actually I have a little video too, so I did want to share that. Let me go to that. But yeah, tell us a little bit about the design and everything, and I'll just play this video in the background a little bit.
Yeah, cool. So this is basically, the Soar is, I guess, an evolution from the Glide, which was our first kind of wing specific board that we did, that I designed. So this is quite a small size. This is only a 34th, just so you can see it. I mean, the popular sizes are kind of the 50 liter up, 50 to 90 liter boards. I've actually got 10 sizes now. I just chucked in all these extra sizes to fill the gaps. I don't think there's any downside of having too many sizes now between sort of 30, 100 liters. So yeah, the whole design behind this board and the change was basically just flattening the tail and just losing all kind of that bevel that we had in the Glide, and just keeping the board really kind of flat through here. And I always just want to keep that kind of surf look of our boards with the nose. I don't know, to me it just feels like, you're still on a surfboard, you've still got that kind of like responsive kind of surfboard kind of feel. I don't know, I know a lot of boards are going kind of square, but kind of try to keep the outline surfboard wingboard as much as I can, and then just a little concave in the deck. But the main unique kind of factor with these boards, and we haven't really gone over it that much, is the construction.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the construction.
Yeah, so they're made in Vietnam. They're made in probably one of the leading factories in the world. So each board actually has their own specific mold. So each model has a mold. It's like an aluminium mold. So the core is basically formed in that mold, and it forms a perfect core. Like CNC, you get kind of a little bit of aeration, a little bit of non-perfect kind of feel, finish or whatever. So you get a really kind of perfect core, and then after you've got that core, the whole board's basically wrapped in PVC, like about a mil of HD, and then the whole carbon outer layer, and it gives you this kind of, like, I don't know if you squeeze them,
yeah,
this kind of poppy kind of concrete feel, even though they're super light. So it really, I mean, like, more, I think wing foiling's like really pushing boards, and putting a lot of stresses on boards. We've seen like tracks coming out, we've seen things happen to other boards, but it's funny because this construction process has meant that, I mean, we haven't had any issues, we haven't had any warranties, we haven't had anything. So it's been cool that we can like confidently just sell a board which is going to last, and I think that's when I was younger, I used to buy surfboards. I used to get just over the fact that they'd just kind of soften up or break down after a while. But even though these are double the price for manufacturing, they'll last forever. I just yeah.
So I was going to share this video, and maybe I can talk a little bit about my impressions of the board too. Yeah, so I mean, the one I tested that's behind me, that's the 83 liter model, which it's actually a little bit bigger than the one I used, and I used like a mount on my strut of my wing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the board is a little bit bigger and wider than the one I was used to, but it felt really nice, and on a lighter wind day, definitely makes it a lot easier to get going when you have that more stable board, And then also I really like the concave shape. When you're kneeling on the board, it just kind of feels real solid, like you can kind of almost like like that I guess that concave deck, it feels like you can almost kind of push your knees against it on the sides, so it makes it feel nice and stable. So that's something I noticed, that for getting up on foil, it felt really good for that. I wanted to ask you why you like, I know on your original boards you had like longer fin boxes, but then on this one, on the Soar boards, you just have the regular size US boxes, right?
Yeah, so there was nothing sort of against the long boxes, but they just added quite a bit of weight that we sort of didn't want. I mean, when you have a long box, I mean, the whole thing's HD. It's, you know, top to bottom, deck to the base. So it just added kind of unnecessary weight. I felt we could just position the box in the right spot after testing a lot of different sizes and just get it in the right spot. And we tested a lot of different foil brands and they all sort of worked in that spot. So I don't know, you know, reducing the weight was just the main factor on that one.
I feel like the regular size boxes are fine. But yeah, this was wondering if you what your thinking was on the
it was just a
box.
weight factor, honestly. When I think people are getting more like kind of not picky, but I mean, they can be, right. It's a lot of money to invest in a board, and yeah, a light board is something that people look for. It's nice to have a light board under your feet, and you know, if you can make it light and strong, I think it's just a winning combo. So yeah, I'm glad you said that about the concave, because although it gives you quite a kind of thick looking rail, when you're in it, you kind of feel a little more locked in, just being a little closer to the foil. So that's kind of cool that you noticed that.
Yeah, that definitely. And then also having that flat tail, I guess, for board and the wide tail, it feels very stable because it's so wide in the tail as well. And then just having a flat bottom definitely helps, like, especially I'm using kind of a more high aspect foil now, and which you can't really pop it up at a steep angle. You just kind of have to slowly ramp it up. And for those kind of foils, especially, I think having any kind of kick in the tail doesn't really help much, you know, because you want to just kind of go kind of start it more flat and slowly come up instead of popping up the foil, you know. So I've noticed that for kind of more high aspect foils, that shape definitely seems to work well, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like this board is kind of like a simple version. Our first board, I think it was good, but it was a bit it had a lot of chimes. You know, I think we're just maximizing the surface area, and then once you lift off, right? So you don't want much board under your feet. So I guess the goal with designing this board was the most stable board for the size, and I think we achieved that pretty well. So yeah, I'm stoked on these boards. I think people are going to love them. Really, really good feedback so far. So yeah, it's cool.
Right on. So yeah, and then I just wanted to ask again too about your volume recommendation. So you know, you said rider weight plus 20 kilograms or so. And then just to be clear, like that's the weight in kilograms. So if you're like, you know, like it's always, you have to convert it first from pounds to kilograms if you're in the US. So 2.2 pounds is 1 kilogram. Yeah. So you have to take your body weight in pounds divided by 2.2, and that gives you your weight in kilograms, and then add 20 kilograms to that. That's a pretty good weight for like beginner intermediates. Yeah, and then as you get better, you can have more, you know, lower and lower volume, but you don't want to go low volume too early, because yeah, it's a lot harder to ride a smaller board, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even for myself, I think I'm going to increase my volume, which sounds kind of weird, but I've been riding 52 liters. Is it 52? Yeah, 52 liters. Yeah, the 52. I keep forgetting the volumes, even though I designed them all. So yeah, I've been riding that one a lot. But honestly, I get a little caught out in the light breeze, and I don't really want to drive around with 3 boards in the van. I think I'm going to chop between 2. So I'm going to use like the new 68 and the 82 for the light days. So yeah, I wanted to go as small as possible, but I sort of did that, and I could ride the 39 liter Soar or whatever, but I don't know. I just want to be comfortable, and if I want to, like, if I get off the foil, I'm still on a really short board. Like, I think, 4.8 is a really short board in my opinion. You can still really carve it around and just have that volume if the wind drops or something in your session to get going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like on lighter wind days, if you're on a really small board, you tend to then want to basically have to use a bigger wing or something that you have to make up for it, because you want to be able to get going. So then you have to use a bigger wing to be able to get going on a smaller board. So, and that's a trade-off too, because it's nice to have a smaller wing especially when you're on a wave or something like that. So, it's always a trade-off, I guess. Smaller isn't always better necessarily, I would say too.
No, I mean, I speak to people with the windsurfing and sort of the same thing I think happened. Everyone went as sort of small as they could, and then it kind of came back a little bit, and then you find your kind of comfortable volume. So that's a thing that I've just kind of realized in myself. So I'll hand it on to people coming in the store or whatever. And then in saying that, we're introducing a Soar Pro, which is going to be 53, 63, 73, 83 liters, and it's just going to be that kind of
that's
23. What is it? 23 kind of width. I think there's a little bit of a need for that narrowish kind of board, just to give you a bit of responsiveness. And as people are progressing, they're wanting a smaller board under their feet. So yeah.
So this is basically based on the same shape, just a little bit narrower, the Pro version. Okay.
And a flatter deck, so no concave. So I've kind of flattened the deck off, squeezed a bit more volume in, and narrowed the board. And I think it's going to be kind of a cool one with the race scene. And it's just got a slightly wider insert kind of stance.
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to mention again, we do have those Soar boards in stock now here at Blue Planet, and our website price includes free shipping in the US, so it's a pretty nice price. I mean, they're not cheap, but like you said, the weight and size, the weight and strength ratio is excellent. And these are the sizes we have, like 34 liters, 52 liters, 83, 105, 130, 144. So that's kind of how you name the models too, by the volume, right? I think.
Yeah, we name them by the volume, and it confuses the crap out of the factory. So it's I don't know. I think volume's a good indicator for a board, maybe in a shop, for your staff and stuff selling them. For the customer, it kind of, I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's the most important number for for a wingboard probably is the volume. I would say, I think it's that makes sense. But I mean, of course, also the width and the length and all that kind of stuff is important as well. But definitely the volume is kind of the first thing I would look at.
Yeah. So they are pricey, but they are around probably double what a board maybe costs in China to make. So once people, if they pick them up, feel them, understand the construction process, and know that the board's going to last a lot longer, and then the resale value is obviously a lot easier or higher, you can kind of justify that price. If only people
compared to other brands are kind of in that same price range too, the Armstrong and other, if they're good, if it's a good high quality construction, it just costs some money.
I mean, I always think in life there's got to be a reason why you pay more for something. I was listening to a pretty funny podcast last night about like threads and textiles and like sheets, and the whole thread count thing is like a complete crockish, like it's not correct. Just saying you've got a high thread count. It's the actual quality of the cotton and the weave. I think it's called Brooklyn Sheets or something. It's a US based company, but it's a really interesting podcast actually. I listen to a lot of business podcasts, but that was just one of them. And I think this is, I myself, I would feel wrong selling something at a high price for no reason. So this is the reason. They do cost double to make. They do have their own mold that you've got to invest in, and they are significantly lighter and stronger, I think, than a lot of boards on the market. So I'm pretty stoked with that. So
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you also just sent me this picture of a new model you have coming out. You want to mention that real quick?
Oh,
The
cool.
link.
Yeah. So that's the link. That's the downwind board I sort of mentioned earlier. So the linking the waves, kind of, yeah. It's narrower, a lot of volume packed in to one board, and obviously it's got the 16 tracks. I think with the longer board, a little bit more adjustability is quite a good thing. I think you'll be going kind of a little bit further forward, maybe for the downwinders and stuff like that. And then you can see, it's sort of hard to see, but you've got these sort of channels up the side. Where the tracks are, it's obviously flat, but the channels run all the way up the board. So they almost act like fins all the way down the board. So they keep you tracking. So one of the things when you're paddling, the board goes side to side. So the design behind these boards that you'll kind of track, and then that'll assist you with, popping up on the foil, because you're going to be straight. You're not going to be using your body to keep the board straight so much.
So did you design this as a downwind stand-up foil board, or for wing foiling downwinders?
Downwind stand-up paddleboard, yeah. But the I think the smaller side's 91 liters, so it could be a bit of a crossover. But yeah, ultimately designed it for downwind stand-up paddle. It's 100% with a paddle.
Okay. I also wanted to ask you real quick on the the leash plugs. You have one that's kind of off-centered, like over here, right? So I was just curious, I'm using the off-centered one just to test it out, and I guess it helps with the board not coming straight back at you. Is that what the thinking is behind that?
Yeah, it actually happened to me. I was about a year ago, I was wing foiling at one of our local places, Hale'iwa, and I sort of came down a wave, and then I just crashed really fast. Everything happened really fast, like it does when you crash, and the board just sort of slingshotted into my head, and I got like 7 stitches here, which is pretty funny.
Cool.
So, and then it's actually Josh, a guy that Josh Armit, who works in the shop. He's one of my team riders, and he actually, I'm not going to claim this, he suggested just why don't you just offset a leash, so the foil kind of just grabs and doesn't come straight back at your head. So I did. So there is a reason why that thing is offset. And when you're going super fast, if you do have a crash, like Josh Armit's doing 32 knots sometimes, and you have a crash, it is quite nice to not have that board slinging at you.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's attached.
Especially if you have a shorter leash, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Josh actually uses a leash when he does his speed runs, which is a good idea.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you a couple questions that Dan Regan sent to me. First of all, he said in terms of product marketing, as an example, we both sell each other's products. So you have some Blue Planet products in your shop. I sell your products in my shop.
Yeah.
And you have you have our alien wings and some of the boards in your shop and so on. And you both have the same issue. The boards are not known in Hawaii, and the alien wings are not well known in New Zealand. It's an interesting challenge. So, just can you talk a little bit about that, and like the challenge of selling something that people are not as familiar with? How do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a good point. Familiarity generally helps to sell pretty, for a shop, right? But it's like anything, if you focus on it and you spend a bit of time out there on it, and you talk to people at the beach. I mean, I know Dan, he's always at the beach, he's always out there winging. He's in Kauai, which is pretty cool because it's a different part of Auckland. So I mean, he's out there all the time. We've got them in the shop. I'm about to start riding them, and I'm looking at them and I'm going, that they look really cool for downwinders because they've got that dihedra. I know they're going to fly flat. I can just tell by looking at them. So yeah, we've actually minimized our wings to we only sell at the moment your wing and our wing in the shop. And I know that kind of sounds a little biased, but there's just been a lot of wings been brought into New Zealand, so we've just kind of simplified it a lot. So yeah, I think I'm loving the big window on your wing. I was going to ask you, why did you actually call it the alien? What did you see a UFO when you were winging?
Well, like when I just saw some video of me using it, like it looks, I thought it looked a little bit like the head of an alien with the funky oval eyes, but those windows, because originally I had one prototypes with a window and without a window. Yeah. And I found actually the windows, if anything, I actually liked the way it worked better with the windows for some reason. I think maybe because of the location and having maybe a little bit more stretch right there where the windows are actually helps with the profile of the wing. Maybe I don't know why, but it felt really good. The one with the wing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I mean,
go ahead.
People commented, they've seen it in the shop, and they've just gone, "Oh my gosh, I can see everything." I think it's really cool, and the wing feels really clean. I reckon it's going to be, it's going to do really well.
Yeah, it has a nice profile, like it has like a really stiff, lot of tension in the wing itself, like pre-tension.
Yeah, I noticed it's a lot thicker than ours through here, through the hole. So a pretty beefed up wing.
Yeah, rigid frame, so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
That's the idea behind it. So, but yeah, let's talk a little bit about your new wing design. So, what's new on your wings?
The main thing with our wing was getting it a little lighter. So we just we rearranged the whole panel layout to just simplify it. We played around with the X-Ply. I don't know if I spoke about that last time. It was probably after, but we tested 100% X-Ply, different panels X-Ply, and then we kind of landed on just using these panels, chucking it in here because these are kind of the panels which take the load. So you actually, you just avoid a lot of stretch through here.
It seems like that's always where the wing tends to wrinkle. I get wrinkles when it's powered up. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so the wing itself, the wingtips, we pulled them in a little bit. Some people were complaining with the surge, it was a little bit spanny. Mm-hmm. So we pulled the tips in, changed the panel layout, different windows in the X-Ply, changed the handle positions as well a little bit just to balance it out. But yeah, it's honestly pretty similar. It's pretty similar feel, but it is a lot different at the same time. So I think ultimately the canopy might last a bit longer having this X-Ply.
And then in terms of like the X-Ply, you said you tried the whole wing. I know like Reedon has that one wing that's all X-Ply. And but what was your experience with that, and why didn't you go full X-Ply on the wings? Like what was the downside of it, I guess?
I just didn't like the weight of it. And it's super powerful. There's no doubt about that. But I think to me personally, it was just to a point where it was almost too powerful and it was just a bit too kind of jerky or whatever. And I think with wings, just weight is a big one. I mean, we're seeing it with new materials and stuff emerging on the market, bringing the weight down. And, these materials are super expensive. I think a lot of brands are sort of maybe fighting for them at the moment. But I just wanted to keep the weight down while having a powerful wing. I think if you, for the smaller sizes, you're going to be out in a lot of winds. The weight's taken away with the wind. But then the bigger sizes, you're always going to feel that weight. I think, especially with anyone learning, if you don't feel as much wing, to handle the wing, it's going to be a lot easier. It's a tough one. It's a tough one when you're designing these things.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a compromise between different things, right? So, but Dan's asking here, where do you see wing tech going, and are we going to see wings becoming more genre specific now that racing and freestyle seem to be diverging more? Are we going to see wings designed specifically for high speed versus more freestyle free riding?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I always wanted to do a carbon laminate wing, like, the Moth sails. They have like a full carbon laminate. I probably shouldn't say it on here, giving away my idea. Anyway, But look, it's not going to be a big part of the market. I mean, I might make 10. We were talking about it last year, doing a full carbon laminate wing. The wing's probably going to retail for $5,000. It's certainly not a recreational wing. It's a performance wing, and I mean, you'll use it racing, but then I don't know. I think wings, we're still at the stage where it's rec, and you know, they do stretch, they have a lifespan. I think we'll see some, like, the thing is, I don't think we haven't seen huge changes in the last 2 years. I mean, they're still inflatable. Most brands are still using the same canopy material. Some brands are using different Dacron substitutes. And I mean, that's ultimate, and obviously rigid handles. But I don't think we've seen massive developments yet, to be honest. I think I might have mentioned last time we'd see a rigid wing with a carbon frame, but we haven't really seen that yet. I think Kylie did a video,
with the rigid wings.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems like obviously it would have less drag if you have a smaller leading edge diameter, right? So, but I don't know if it's
I feel like there's still I think inflatables, it's the way that's, the way they are, the way they can pack down, the way you can travel with them, the way there aren't too many moving parts. It's like they're actually a pretty genius design. So I don't know. Isn't that, maybe that's just saying, they are a genius design. They're ahead of themselves. Like, that's why they haven't progressed that much. I think they're getting cleaner, they're getting lighter, they're more balanced. I mean, all these things are like awesome, because that's where they need to go. I mean, for pure enjoyment, feeling something balanced is amazing. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to see like a lot of rigid wings out there sold to, especially newbies coming into sports. Probably not a good thing having anything hard on your wing, actually.
For sure. I mean, definitely not for entry level, but I could see it becoming more specialized, where people just start trying to milk every little bit of speed out of their equipment. I was talking to Alan Cadiz about like they have like the summer racing now on Maui, and like, and he's talking about like the foils they use and the boards and wings, everything's like optimized for speed. So, but it's a different, like you said, it's a small market.
That was pretty cool to see that. We're actually, we've got some races of our own developing here in Auckland, up at Manly Yacht Club, and it's pretty cool. Guys like Russell Coote are out there on the boat. Like, he's a bit of a legend sailor, so he's out there kind of watching us. There are gold medalist windsurfers doing these races. There are surfers coming in. Obviously, I'm a surfer, so there are all these different kind of backgrounds coming into racing, and they're certainly pushing things, but I think the most developing part of the sport's probably been the foil, in my opinion, so far. Quickly developing part of the sport.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is this the shim. Like we sell these shims too, and they're super convenient because you can kind of slide it in without removing the foil completely. Like, you can put the foil on and then just slide the shim in, and it has like a 1 degree tilt. So can you talk a little bit about what your thoughts behind that? And oh, you got one right there. So I'm gonna stop the screen sharing. You can show it and talk a little bit about it and how it works and how you use it.
Yeah. So the shim. It's important to note that it's nothing to do with the foil. It's just the pitch of the board. I don't want to confuse everybody. So it's nothing to do with the foil. The foil's shimmed out with tail shims. So we're not changing anything to do with the foil. All we're doing is changing the angle of attack of the board. So some people, actually, a rider, Adam Bennett, he flips it around and puts it at the back of his board. He likes kind of that feel that it gives him to his foil. Most riders just slide it in at the front of the board, and it sort of noses up the board a little bit. So it's just basically going to give you a little bit of added front foot pressure, or it's going to just, the board's now going to be like that a little bit. So when you touch down, you're just going to pop up instead of maybe touching down and nose diving or whatever. It's just a feel thing. I mean, not, our boards don't have to have it. I ride our boards without it. I ride it with it. I prefer it with now, all the time. I'm just used to it. It's just that it just gives you like a nice kind of front foot pressure. I think it's going to be pretty good for racing at speeds too. Just getting the board angled just up a little bit so you can just push down a bit harder when you wind up at certain speeds.
I agree.
So go ahead. I mean, this is molded, so it's not 3D printed. There's a few 3D printed ones on the market. We tried that; they break. So this can get hammered. There's actually quite a bit of pressure that's loaded on these with the bolts and the foil. So, and you can use it. You can slide it up and down, so you don't have to use the whole 1 degree. You can go to 0.5 or yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think, and it's amazing how much that 1 degree of difference, you can definitely feel it. And I think where it really makes a difference, if you see, or if you see a video of yourself and you're flying at high speeds and the nose is angled downwards a little bit, you got to push the nose downward a little bit to keep the foil from overfoiling, basically. Then that means if you do get close and your nose kind of touches down a little bit, that you get like a really rapid deceleration, and like especially for like toe foiling or something like that at high speeds, you never want the nose to be pointing downwards when you're going fast, so I think that's where that shim and shimming it so the nose is up a little bit is really helpful for that, because like you said, when you touch down at high speed, it's much easier to recover from it when your nose is pointed up a little bit versus downwards. And then, but I've also had people say that when they put it on the back side to kind of give the foil a bit more angle. I mean, because it does increase the angle of the front wing by 1 degree as well when you're not foiling, So it does help at the takeoff speed. Is it's a little bit easier to take off. You got like more built-in angle of attack to take off, right? So, and when you do shim it, when you put it in the front, you do have to kind of make up for that by kind of putting maybe a little bit more weight on the tail to lift off, right? I think and it does make a little bit of it, has a little bit of effect on the foil too.
Like these are just little toe boards, but it's because the board's so short, it's I've been using it a lot with toe foiling. I've been kind of getting more and more into toe foiling lately with the jet ski. But there's not a lot of boards, so having the shim, just you're going a bit faster too, so it gives you a little bit more kind of confidence when you get into a critical turn. You've got the nose up, and just I don't know, feels good. But I'm really loving my toe foiling lately. Just awesome. the speed of it, and just we've been heading down to Raglan quite a bit and other places, and towing places where nobody is, and it's just been pretty incredible. So that's been cool.
Awesome. So what, like, for you to get really big waves, like what swell directions do you need?
So for Raglan, as it's on the west coast of New Zealand, we need just really big sort of southwest swells. Anything over sort of 4 meters produces about a double or triple overhead wave. Not like your swell, not that big ocean swell that you guys get, but we get some pretty solid swells. So a friend of mine,
and Daniel, those are usually in your winter time, right? When it's winter, that's when the southwesterlies are probably big, right? Or it's kind of it is more winter, but it's been all over the place lately. I don't know what's going on. So we actually had some pretty good swells over the summer down there. But usually we have winter. We haven't had a cyclone on the east. The east side of New Zealand's kind of usually pretty small compared to the west. So no, Raglan's good. It's got a boat ramp. It's safe, and heading out there quite a bit with a mate, Daniel. So it's been good. We're both learning a lot of stuff, and the crucial thing with towing is having a good tow partner, so someone you can trust and kind of have fun with and talk about gear and mix it up, and it's good. Yeah, definitely. And you want someone that's kind of like my friend Jeff Chang. He just, like, under pressure, he's like super calm and never gets freaked out, or like it's always
Totally.
something like, oh, it's okay, there's a huge wave coming at us, and
Anything could happen.
the skis stalled or whatever. It's like, oh, don't worry, we'll get it going again. It's like,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
and that's how you figure it out, but yeah, if you
yeah.
freak out, that never helps, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can never be too safe or too calm in the ocean. And yeah, no, it's cool, calm, and collected is key.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So in terms of wing foiling, are you working on any new moves, or what are you, or any goals for yourself, or progressing?
I've honestly I've been working so hard lately on new products and new things, and getting even like accessories like a V-strap, and these things take so much time. So I've kind of been relying on our team riders around here to do the moves and in the speed runs and the backflips and the wave riding for me.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I think since the pandemic or whatever, it's been just really crucial to be really, really closer than ever to your factory or to your designer factory, whatever. We have a new wing designer now, so we're working on the new wing, but that's going to be late 2023 new models. I think we're gonna kind of, I think, slow things down, do things that kind of make more sense, release them in a kind of a timely manner. I think I don't know, to me a lot of companies are releasing things a little too fast. And I want to slow things down and make it really make sense when you release something. Yeah, that's kind of been my thing.
No, I agree with that. Just as an example, like Jimmy Lewis, his boards don't really change. Like, he doesn't really have like a season, it's like he just has his board models, and they're available. And I mean, it helps retailers too, because they don't just, you don't have to like discount it after a year, because it's still the same model for next year. So if you like, and unlike other brands like Starboards, for example, they always have like a new season, everything changes, all new colors and sizes and shapes and whatever, and then all the old stuff is like considered obsolete or whatever, so then you have to discount it and stuff. So and it's really not obsolete, and they always say it's way better, but I mean, how much can you improve it every year for 30 years, so
yeah, I mean, exactly. Something to me, if it's way better, then why is it way better? What have you done? How's it different? So yeah, 100%. And yeah, it's every retailer's nightmare to have a sale all the time. And I don't know, I think because the sports, we're still in the early days. I think it's rushed ahead really quickly with development, but I think we're still in the early days. I think we're going to still see a lot of new people come into the sport, and like, we're getting creative here in the shop this summer, figuring out how we're going to target more kind of mainstream maybe lines of media to get new people into the sport. Our wings are going to be available on a Air New Zealand Airpoints website, so that's interesting, because a lot of people that have never heard of wing foiling are going to see these wings and go, what is this? I think that's kind of cool. I mean, we're going to do a bit of a video and go around like a mall and go up to people and go, have you guys heard of wing foiling? And make a bit of an edit. So I'll post that one up in a few months. But I think, generally when you go around, like maybe a place like New Zealand or whatever, most people haven't heard of it. So it's still so niche. It's still pretty small in my opinion, and it's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a couple of questions that Dan asked as well. Like, how do you get more people into winging? I mean, I agree that it was still early days for sure.
Dan,
and then and then the second question was, how were you able to get the wings out globally for a small, Kiwi-based New Zealand brand? How were you able to expand globally, and how do you do that part?
Yeah, don't ask me about the global question. No, that was, I don't know still. No, okay. Well, Dan needs to come in the shop. I already asked him to do jet ski lessons with me. We need to do that together. I want Dan in here a couple of days a week. So there you go, Dan. I know you've got your day job, but you would be critical to have in the shop. You're a great salesman. You're great with people, and we talk a lot together, so we probably wouldn't get much done. So in terms of the wing globally, I think it was like anything. Like when you listen to all these like podcasts and stuff, it's all about timing, and we just had a good wing at the right time and managed to get it around the right people, got it to SUP order, got a good review out. You know, got it, you know, around, at least we had it around 5 or 6 key international sellers, and that grew to about 30. So now we're selling into about 30 different countries. I don't know, it's kind of social media, it's kind of the platform. Maybe you can grow things faster than what you could have in the past. You can, you know, you can come out with great videos and photos and content, and I think it, you know, if you do it right, you can get that kind of exposure. And someone in, you know, Singapore rang me last week. They saw me on Instagram, and they, you know, now we've got someone in Singapore, and it's sort of, it's cool. It's just kind of growing like that at the moment. So yeah, we're getting about 2 international sellers a month at the moment. So
Nice.
yeah, before it gets too busy, I'll probably cap it.
So I mean, yeah, so I wanted to ask you that too. Like, what is your vision for PPC? Like, how do you see it, like, in 5 years? Like, what's your company going to be like, and what's your vision for that?
Yeah, it's seriously a good question. I've sat down with a bunch of, you know, a few people who've done a 3-5 year plan, and like, to me, because I'm still the sole owner of this company. Don't ask me why or how, but it, you know, I've got to a point where it's definitely almost outgrown me, especially having the shop and the brand. And it's sort of made me realize maybe I focus on one or the other, keep both, have one managed. You know, my love is product development, so to me, I'll certainly focus on the brand, and PPC for me is just about coming up with products which make sense. And like, our term is optimize your foiling experience. So every product that we design, it needs to optimize your foiling experience. If it doesn't, then there's no point kind of doing it, to me. So I really want to, yeah, just keep slowly kind of adding products where I see fit to just, you know, better the experience of the rider who's foiling and whatever they're doing. I mean, these little UFO tow boards are pretty, like, they're tiny little things. You know, I didn't think we'd sell them, but we're selling them internationally, which is kind of crazy. And people actually laughed at me when I was doing the downwind board. They said, why are you doing that? Like, down, I don't know what, you know, such a small market. But I don't know. I just, when I get onto something, I just love designing things. So who knows how big paddle downwinding is going to get, but you know, it's there certainly, and I think people are going to get into it, and we're going to see all these categories of foiling expand. And foiling's definitely a sport where it's sticking around. You know, it's like surfing; it's its own thing now. You know, surfing's still growing, I think, globally by 5% a year. So foiling, it's pretty cool that we're in that. It's its own thing. Yeah.
Cool. So I mean, but it sounds like you're not focused just on growth. It's more like you want to provide cool products for the market, and just stay relevant and have innovative designs and things like that.
Yeah, it's cool because I don't have anyone to answer to, and it's like I'm my own boss, like you. It's like yeah, I 100% just want to do products like that make sense and that I want to do, and you know, that I see fit into it. And yeah, it's you know, I think, you know, it's funny because we've got boards, we've got wings, we've got, you know, accessories, foot straps, everything's coming in, but we don't have a foil. So
yeah, so we talked about wings and boards, so let's talk about foils a little bit. So you mentioned that you are working on a foil design now, your own foil design, is that right?
Yeah, it's correct. It's funny because I've actually had a foil on file for five and a half years now. Like, I designed a foil with a friend in Christchurch 5 years ago. It's been on file. I just didn't want to make it because I felt like it wouldn't compete with the top brands. So it just sat there. So yeah, lately I wasn't even going to say on the show that we're gonna do a foil, but yeah, we're working on a foil. We're quite a few months into it, working with a team of engineers in Auckland and a couple of design hydrodynamics guys in the US. So yeah, we're slowly working through it, and it's a really, really fun project. It's almost like I want it to be slow because it's so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
and it's tricky. It's tricky because you know, my expectations for myself is really high with the foil. I mean, it's got to be good. It's got to be able to compete with the best. And you know, luckily I've kind of seen a lot of foils on the market. I've been on them. I've seen their weaknesses. I've seen their strengths. I've seen things that annoy me. Even you know, things down to different tools that you need, like 2 different tools for the same foil. It's just little things like that. I think, you know, I'm kind of confident we can iron out, and yeah, we're going to have a good foil, 100%.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I found one of the biggest challenges of building foils was having a good manufacturer to do it, you know. So and the production issues and the manufacturing and construction issues were like almost more, like it's one thing to design a really good foil, but then to build it and have it consistently and all the specs be right, that's where you know, saying like communicating with the manufacturers and stuff like that, it takes a lot of time and effort. And for Blue Planet, I decided that for us, it's hard to compete on that with the brands that focus just on foils, like, you know, Armstrong or Axis, that they're so focused on their foils and their foil design. For me, it's just kind of I pretty much said I'm just going to let them do that, and we focus more on the boards and the wings. But
yeah, I mean, I was honestly going to, I was thinking the same thing, and honestly, we weren't going to do a foil. I was really happy with our boards, our wings, and accessories. But yeah, you're right. You start with the factory. You almost start with the factory and work backwards. You know, our board factory is pretty good, so our foils are going to be made in the same factory. And I'm confident now that we can, that we can develop a good foil. Like, we've learned a hell of a lot about connections, and, you know, in my opinion, the most crucial part of a foil is the connection, all the connection points. I mean, foils are so complicated, right? But then we're talking about just a few connection points. Those just have to be absolutely, you know, robust and you know, no weaknesses, no movement. And there's been a lot of mass talk lately, a lot of, you know, foils, high aspect, mid aspect, low aspect. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting process for the next year or so. But hopefully we have a foil for the next podcast.
Excellent, that's exciting. So let's talk a little bit about and I was going to say too, like, just being able to test all the different foils that you use, like from different brands and so on. I mean, that's so helpful in designing your own too, because if you can try, I think, some different manufacturers, different designers and stuff like that, that really helps you kind of figure out what works for you and what you want in your own design, you know. So I think sometimes, like, team riders or whatever that are used to only riding one foil or one manufacturer, they don't really understand, like, the differences between, like, you know, let's say between a really stiff mass and a softer mass or whatever. You don't really understand it until you try it, you know. So you can talk about it, but unless you try it and feel it, it's But anyways, I like that. Also, there's another question from Dan: the challenges of global shipping and production over the last 2 COVID years. You know, how is this going to impact our market in the coming year or so? I mean, just talk a little bit about the challenges you had in New Zealand, and then how do you think it's going to affect us going forward?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, shipping's increased, like, I don't know, by five times the amount maybe 4 years ago. So you got to really think about what you're putting in that container. I think that's the main thing. So it's actually made me think, you know, more critically about product development because of shipping costs in a roundabout way. You've got to ensure that what you put in that container or what you ship is the best thing that you can put in it. I mean, for me, I've just invested way more than usual in production. So production with boards, wings, we've just gone like 4 times as much as usual. So we just ensure that we've got stock on hand, stock here. When the pandemic happened, the factory in Vietnam, they shut down for 4 months. So that caused probably a delayed 12-month delay on production. So I mean, I guess yeah, it's planning, and it's just ensuring that you've got like such, you know, the best product you can put in that container, and ensure we're getting a B2B system set up now on the website for our sellers, which is going to help out a hell of a lot. But yeah, it's like a learning process, right? We didn't know that shipping would, I don't know how expensive it's going to get, right? Is it going to come back?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be kind of leveling off, and I think like some of the frothy, really crazy prices don't, it's come back down to more normal. But yeah, I think it's just going to be elevated because of the higher fuel costs and all that. I mean, but yeah, I was going to mention too, like those Soar boards that we ordered, they were ready to ship, I think, in December, and then we actually didn't get them till like early July, I think. Yeah, so something like that. So it took like 6 or 7 months for us to get boards from Vietnam to Hawaii, which is crazy, but
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Very frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, we've got two 40-footers coming to New Zealand this summer, so we have a lot of stock in New Zealand. I think the key is, I mean, a lot of brands obviously have access to 3PLs, and setting up the goal would be to set up 3PLs in US, Europe, in our busier locations, and that's probably where we'll go. So yeah, third-party logistics is probably the answer. But they also take a margin. So, it's just what you've got to do to get out there, though, I think. And I think, I really believe in our product. So I think that's the way to go. Unless you want to order 6 containers and be our 3PL.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. So
yeah. Definitely, it's a challenge. The logistics is definitely a big challenge right now. So talk a little bit about Hood River. You said that you're going to Hood River, right, this summer, or our summer?
Yeah, I'm looking at flights now. It's school holidays, and flights from New Zealand were like 7,000 returns. So I'm just keeping an eye on it for the next few weeks. School holidays finish in 2 weeks. I'll look at it after that. So we've got my friend George is over there. She's quite a well-known photographer in this sort of wing world, and she's over there now I think she's staying with Fiona and Aiden, so that's Fiona Wilds, and Aiden, her partner. So there's a kind of a Kiwi crew over there. So yeah, I'm just looking at that river and just going, yeah, I definitely need to get in there and meet up with some people. And we sent some of our gear over to Aiden. He's trying it, and yeah, and then it's obvious. So hopefully I make Hood River, and then to Hawaii, and then back. Be good to catch up with you and go for a wing with you and the guys. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. We'll have to make a little video about that.
I was talking to my friend. I actually spoke to my friend Jason yesterday. I said there was some flights to Hawaii for like $400. I was going to surprise you, and I just imagine if I just turn up to Hawaii and knocked on Rob's door at the start of the interview.
Yeah, we could.
It would have been kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be cool. Yeah, come visit.
Are you going to go to Hood River? What plans have you got?
I don't really have plans to go. I mean, because I just went to Europe. I was in Germany for a couple of weeks, and then I'm also going to Florida in September. So that's I'm going to the Surf Expo in Orlando. I already had that planned, and I have some friends that live there, and they help me out and stuff. So it's always kind of a fun trip for me. But I mean, I've been wanting to. I lived in Hood River for a summer, like for 3-4 months, and I really love that place. I mean, went back in the windsurfing days. That was before before foiling was around. But I can see how that's such a good place, especially for downwind foiling. You get like this almost like standing waves, and the wind blowing against the current of the river and stuff like that. It's like a perfect setup for downwinding and those kind of things. So definitely want to do that, but probably not going to happen this year. Next year maybe.
Yeah, maybe I mean, it looks like the place to kind of test gear, I think. And I've seen a few videos from the side. Yeah, you get that perfect kind of clean standing wave, which is pretty unique, I think.
Right.
It looks incredible.
And the wind is when it's on, it's like that nuking wind. It's like it's like even like a 2-meter wing can be too big probably. So it's so strong, the wind, but some days. But
what's your smallest wing you're doing? What's in the
well, on the Alien wing we have a 3-meter, which it seems to be kind of too small for most. It's like for most people here on Oahu, so we're actually, and I'm that one. Yeah, I'm working on a 3.5 right now. I think that's going to be a good size for a windy day here on Oahu, because 3 is almost too small for us. I think on Maui it's a good size, but here it's almost too small for most people.
Yeah, it's funny because we've been using like I did a 2.3, but we're just using it in downwinders. But I think we'll just change that one to a paddle. If you're using a wing that small, I guess you can. Yeah, you probably should have a paddle.
Yeah. For us, like I think our wing sizes too are like, I don't know why, but I mean they measure, the square meters are from the computer program, but our wings are so compact, like the size of the frame is smaller. Like, if you put one of our 5 meters over a 4.8 PPC, like it's so much more narrow and compact, and I'm not sure why that is, but I mean, you still kind of get the same amount of power out of it,
I think there's a lot of size variance, and that's one of the things that I've been talking to with our new designer, and I'm just going, we've just this almost like there should be like some sort of industry standard with sizing. It's like the computer spits something out, but when you pile a wing on another wing, it can be completely different. So I'm going to pay more attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's
I guess it's also if you measure the curved fabric, or if it's just a flat projected surface area or whatever. I mean, I'm not really sure if there's different ways to measure, but it does seem to vary quite a bit between wings, the actual size and how powerful it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to leave people with? Wingfoil community.
I don't think so. I think just like, I think just keep it fun is the main thing for me. Like, although all these things are emerging, like racing, we're seeing GWA and all this really awesome sort of stuff. Like I've been watching quite a bit of it. It's incredible. I just think, to me, like just keeping it fun for me is it. And just, I formed a good bunch of mates here. We just go for a wing and have a few beers afterwards, and like that's what it is for me. I want to see more women in the sport. That is something that we're going to try and build this summer here, with Annabelle down in the South Island, just getting more kind of, females into the sport. I'm just seeing like it's definitely men orientated, dominated. So more women, more fun, more kids. I want to win more places around the world. So they're my kind of goals. And then just work on this foil, because it's going to be a pretty full on year the next year, prototyping and back and forthing and testing different foil sections. And I'm learning a lot already about everything to do with foils. It's ridiculous. Got a lot of foil brain fog at the moment, but it's all good.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much the equipment has improved. Like, I mean, we were talking about like how the small changes, but if you compare like first generation wings that we started on to what's available now, it's like a huge jump in improvement and the performance of wing, especially the wings, I think. And then of course the boards and the foils too. I mean, everything. The foils actually are way more efficient now, like than what we started on, right? So
yeah,
it's exciting.
Just more efficiency. It's going to be interesting where we end up at with the foil, but I can tell you that it's going to be kind of a more simplified foil. We'll probably only have around 4 wings. I'm just going to run to the door because there's a courier.
Okay.
And I think it's a prototype.
Oh, cool. Maybe you can show us.
It's all good. Just leave it at the door. Cheers. Sorry. It's always embarrassing.
No worries.
The courier is here.
All right. You're getting new prototypes delivered now.
Well, people can see what's happening. And yeah.
Awesome.
That's good. Cheers.
Oh, he's showing us.
That's for me. That's cool.
Right on.
Awesome.
One thing you mentioned that I wanted to just touch on is like, hanging out with the buddies afterwards, and it's kind of a social thing too, right? And
Yeah.
I was talking about that with someone like, a lot of team sports, like part of the experience is not just doing the sport together, but then also afterwards, having a few beers together and hanging out and socializing and stuff like that, the community experience of it. And I've been winging a lot at this spot, which is really close to my house. It can kind of launch from super easy from my place. And, but I'm like the only one out there because it's hard, there's a shallow reef you have to go over, and nobody really goes out there. So I'm always the only one. And it does change the whole experience. If you don't you don't push yourself as hard, but it's kind of more soulful, I really enjoy it now, but I do miss the whole social aspect of it. So I try to go, every now and then I just pack all my stuff and go somewhere just to have that experience. So, but yeah, so do you have like a close community and that always meets at the same spots and hangs out together and stuff like that?
Yeah, we've got a few of these like WhatsApp little groups. I'm sure it's happening all over the world, but they're kind of, it's awesome. Like, they're kind of building up, and someone says, yeah, it's on here. So we all meet there. And there's a bunch of guys, like 10 guys, they literally have a van, they pack it full of gear, and they do these little downwind runs. So they'll just drive up and down pretty much all day. I don't know what they do for a living, but it's pretty funny. I'll tap in for a few runs. I'm not going to do it all day, I've got too much on, but like to tap in for a few end runs with them and have a beer afterwards is like probably one of the coolest things, like. And then, we're all talking about gear. There's a lot of froth. Like everyone's really, really frothed on gear and talking about the techie side of it, the foil, what they're using, different brands. I think that's all part of it. And yeah, I hope that just keeps going and going and going, like for a long time. I hope we don't end. I think that, we've got years and years and years of the sport and, development and, so I think, yeah, that's just going to go and go forever. I don't know if we're going to get to a point where it slows down. That's going to be pretty interesting. I don't know what that is, but how do you get a perfect foil, or I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, I'm definitely enjoying the social side of it and the fun side of it, and winging with people is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like a really welcoming community too. It's not like sometimes when you surf or whatever, it's a lot more competitive or kind of almost like aggressive, or not as friendly and open. But winging, it's just like everybody's welcoming new people and stuff like that. And then that's kind of the message I'm trying to send too with this, with this show. We're open to people getting into the sport. We want to see more people doing it. I do anyways, but
yeah, 100%. I think a good point is that winging it actually brings us away from the surf breaks, right? So it actually uncrowds them, if anything. So if any of you shortboarders out there are listening, it's taking the foils away from the crowded surf breaks, into these awesome locations, where we can get to with a wing or with a jet ski or whatever.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've got a bunch of team riders for the shop up here. Some of them are like pretty well known, ex-pro surfers and stuff who are absolutely ripping on the prone foil down here now. But they're getting into winging too. So you're getting these like ex-pro surfers that are now loving the wing. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, John Florence on here in the North Shore, he's into winging too and stuff like that. So it's
really?
I love seeing that kind of
I'll
stuff.
Message him now. Can you give me? Can you try my wing? No, that's awesome. So he's actually winging?
Yeah, I saw some video of him. I think it was him. Yeah, pretty sure it was John. So yeah, and he's pretty good too. So
anyway, I haven't seen him with a wing. That's cool. I don't know if we're going to see Lead with a wing, but that'd be my sort of call out, Lead, if you're listening. Yeah, a little wing video would be kind of cool.
Right on. But yeah, I was gonna say too, like Dan actually was talking about, he's on our WhatsApp group here in Hawaii, and he's like, so do some of these people even have jobs? Like how are they just winging every day? And
winging has become a full-time job for a lot of people. Yeah. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, and you just like some people just kind of arrange their lives around winging. Basically they work when they don't want to wing, right? So
totally.
it is possible, but But yeah,
Yeah,
it's that lifestyle for sure.
we'll get there, Rob. I mean, you and I know you've opened another store in the North Shore. I hope that's going well. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how there are not enough hours in the day. But yeah, how's your new store going? I was going to ask.
It's
Vulcan
going
store.
well, especially like the rental business is just great. It's like such a good business model. And for me, it's like I just rely on having good people. Like I have a great staff out there, and at first I went out there two times a week, and now it's more like once a week I go out there. And same thing with everything else. I mean, if you have a good team, that makes all the difference. That like,
yeah.
I don't try to do everything anymore. You can't.
Yeah, that's what I kind of do at the moment. Try and do everything, but it never works. So yeah, send some over, because I think you've got good people over there.
Man, it's so hard to get good people especially right now. It's like the job market is so tight. Like nobody is really looking for work. So
yeah, I think that's been one of the things that I've noticed lately. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it's seriously hard to find people.
Right.
Yeah, I think
That's
people
true.
I don't know what they're doing, but they're not wanting to work.
Yeah.
But they just haven't heard of wing foiling yet, so we'll keep trying. We need a couple, so if you want, fly them over.
Okay.
Send them on Hawaiian Airs. I know that it's operating now, so
yeah. And if any of your people over there want to come to Hawaii, we got jobs here too. So
that'll be me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you'll come visit soon.
Yeah.
I think we got to wrap it up. So
okay, cool.
Happy birthday. Can I ask how old you are?
37. 37
okay,
today.
You're still very young, so that's great. I mean, you've already built that much of a business at that age. You have a long way to go, so that's great.
Yeah. I feel kind of older, but yeah, definitely a long way to go. So I'll just pace myself. Yeah. Have fun along the way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a good start to the day already, chatting to you over there in Hawaii, and it's always a pleasure.
Yeah. All right, Sam. Take care. Aloha.
Cheers,
Happy
Rob.
birthday. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Cheers. All right. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you so much for watching another full episode of the Blue Planet Show. You are the ones I'm making this show for, the ones who listened all the way to the end. Really appreciate it. I know you're out there. I love all the comments we're getting for the Blue Planet Show. So thanks so much to all the listeners, and to Sam Loader, of course. And once again, this show is made possible by Blue Planet customers just like you. I really appreciate everyone that supports our business. So next time you're looking for new wing foil equipment, check out blueplanetsurf.com. We got lots of good stuff from lots of different brands at good prices, and we offer free shipping on boards in the US. So definitely worth checking out. Thanks everyone for watching. See you on the water. Aloha.